here in the advanced curriculum, we're going to look at building the Lowground as kind of an endless stream of eighth notes. We're going to look at how we can just connect phrases. One of the goals for this tune here is to really create this fluid sound from the first note all the way to the last note. There's a lot of connections here. We've looked at how to use major scale notes to just figure out where the notes can come from for these embellishments and things, and we've got lots of fretting hand components at work here to give us that overall sort of quality of sound. We recognize that when we play every note, it sort of sounds like it, and that's sort of one-dimensional. The hammers, pulls, and slides give us that more lyrical quality to the playing. So we've got a lot working here, but mainly the idea is that we're trying to stay fluid. We always talk about this concept of flow, and here we have like a literal stream that we're just trying to ride all the way through it. All the while detecting that or just at least trying to always know that we're playing building a Lowground. So as you're playing through this, the more comfortable you become with this version here, try to always hear that melody in your head, because there's some little twists and turns that aren't necessarily out of the basic essential melody, but we're still using some embellishments and some versions of that melody just to kind of create that very connected sense with these the basic idea of the phrase. This is a way or a version of a way that I might improvise this. One of the things I also know, if I play this particular version slower or faster, sometimes I add or remove or just put hammers and pulls in different spots. That's just one of the things I notice about me naturally, just because I am listening for the fluid nature of this, of these phrases and of these notes. And so as you play, always advise advanced players to experiment with where some of these hammers and pulls are. They're there in this tab for a purpose to help create that sense, but sometimes that sense of connectivity and that very fluid lyrical quality. But tempo itself, especially for advanced players, sort of changes the sense of some of that. The more you get into this, the more you'll realize this. So let's just dive in here with that in mind, and we'll talk through the first little bit here. Again, kind of just initiating a flow like we're jumping in the river here. So that's the full, first time through the A section is kind of one big idea. You hear that essential melody. I don't go to the, I'm not choosing here to go up to that high E there. I'll do that later on in the repeat. For this first time through the A section, just really looking for that kind of sing-song quality, that very fluid, very connected quality that keeps that first note connected to the last note. The first C on the downbeat of the A section, and that beat 3 on bar 9 here. Try to look at that as all one phrase. A couple little challenges written in here in bar 8. Keeping with our basic pick pattern fundamental, down, up, down. We're going to use the pull off to create that open G, so we're not going to use an upstroke right there. But we're still going to move, still going to churn along. So we're set up for that downbeat on beat 3. So 3 and is a hammer on into beat 4. So we're going to use our next upstroke, which is the and of 4. We don't play a downbeat 4. And that hammer-on is going to be the downbeat of bar 9. So a little tricky move there. But you'll still see my hand moving correctly on those beats. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay? When all that's flowing in time and in its sort of proper spot and in the spirit of what we're doing here, that's how we kind of stay settled. And a key thing here is to not let this run away from you, and to try not to get bogged down in some of the little twists and turns. We're always, our main goal here is to really think of this as one fluid idea. Okay, you still hear that building a Lowground essence there, but a lot of connectivity here. we'll work into the repeat here of the A section. We're not going to look at just first and second ending here. We're always looking for, variations of these themes. So here we got yet another one. Looking for the downbeat of bar 10, that C to be connected to beat 3 of bar 17. A tricky move here, but a big phrase idea that is essentially kind of a culmination of all the phrases of Billy and the Lowground. All 4 phrases we have. We look at fiddle tunes as phrase 1, phrase 2, phrase 3, which is generally a repeat of phrase 1, and then phrase 4, which is the ending phrase. And so now we're making all that kind of one big idea here in the repeat. That just never stops, and so the quality of that that's one of those key things that sort of, as you engage as a listener, expect that. Try to be aware of what it feels like when you hear that. One of the things that'll happen is that you'll be aware that the only way you can hear those notes and hear that consistent note value and phrase value is if you settle, if you relax, if you sort of give in to the pulse there. Anytime we're trying to force through those hammer-ons, force through those any sort of weird string change or anything like that, we're going to introduce some tension, and that's going to break that sense of flow. Just to give you one little look at what this sounds like if I don't use hammer-ons, it sort of sounds like this. Correct notes, they're all sort of basically in their right spot there, but the hammer-ons give us that fluid nature, like it's literally floating down a stream. As advanced players, a lot of us that have worked to a specific spot to know a lot of these melodies, to have a pretty good flat picking technique, a lot of us haven't taken the time to really absorb using these hammer-ons and getting to that sort of next upper echelon level of very smooth, finished sounding playing. We talk about that very lyrical nature of how these hammers, pulls, and slides create that for the playing. This is, a really good opportunity to look, at the back and forth. I would encourage you to try that as well. Try playing without hammers, and then use the hammers, and you'll see how that just immediately kind of creates a nice, it's almost like you brought a really quality lighting effect to a room, and so everything is warmer and more inviting. That's what hammers and pulls and slides can do to your melodies. All right, so that gets us into the B section here. Get into some more slides here. One of the things we look at is we're ending that A section on a nice little strum. So we use our pinky for that first slide. I'm going to use my ring finger now on that second time we play that E note, because I'm going to set up for this bar 19. Okay, so we're using the slide, so it's a little subtle finger transition there. Pinky, ring finger on the and of 4 on that E note. So now I'm set up for this little move here using the A shape. Looking for sustain here. I want all that to basically be ringing by the end of that bar. Get that nice C suspended sound there. So again, using basically the index finger barring the D and the G. That allows that G to ring as I'm moving through this that hammer-on right there. And then leaving my index down on the D as well by the time I get to that low C. My goal, my expectation for that sound there is to achieve enough of that sustain and enough of that chord spelling out that it creates that effect of the playing. Again, we're looking at ways to take just basic solid flat picking and add these very finished, advanced sounding, upper echelon sort of quality measurements to the playing.